Are you serious? Are you serious? Get ready. It's the final showdown. That's what at least they're saying. It is a showdown. President Joe Biden is meeting with President Vladimir Putin and in Geneva. And this is going to be a very, very interesting meeting. Now, we know that where do we go from here? Okay. Post-Trump presidency really hasn't really changed much as it relates to relationship between our two nations. To be quite honest with you, it really didn't matter which president was in office, except as far as relationship right now. But going forward, it could have a huge impact. I really believe it does. Matter of fact, in my book, I wrote Mark of the Beast, RFID. America, and with weak leadership and a weak Congress, would hand America over to the United Nations and the European Union, and then we would become part of a global governance, a new world order, a one world government. And I base that based on biblical prophecy, because you must take the strong man. But as the United States is being handed over, somebody has to emerge as the leader of this new world order. And certainly Russia and China are going to play major roles in being the enforcers of this global alliance. But of course, who is the Antichrist? That's yet to be revealed. It will be revealed according to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, as soon as you see the third temple built. And folks, all of these things, you got a new prime minister now in Israel who is dead against the two-state solution. So what does this mean? The struggle? I'll tell you about that in a second. But first, I want to say this. Let's put a shout out right now to www.lightbug. What? Yes, www.lightbug. There's no doubt about it. The power outages that we've been seeing going on globally now, the cyber attacks, the hacking, the attacking, the whacking, the smacking. I mean, this is unbelievable. The zacks and the hacks. But here's what we have found out. We have found out that when the power outage went down in Texas last February and the power grid melted down, people weren't ready. They didn't even have flashlights, didn't have batteries. They just didn't expect that in Texas. This is why I highly recommend you get this solar panel charging high power light bug. That's www.lightbug. This is an awesome Father's Day gift. This is an awesome Father's Day gift. No batteries required. Okay. No wiring needed. You can use this thing to help. Even it's got such a powerful battery. You can use it. It's got a solar panels. It's got a USB charger on it. So you could charge your cell phone on this thing. It's incredible. Built-in solar panels. Are you serious? It's a must. Go to www.lightbug.com. Everybody get some coffee and calm down, but we are blessed and highly favored. But it is the final showdown, or is it the final countdown? As Russia and the United States are getting together with Biden and Putin today, as the preparation begins in Geneva. Let me, in just a few hours, they're going to meet. I'm not sure exact time, but let me tell you what's going on. Let's take a look at this article that's just been released here on this situation. What is about to happen? Biden calls Putin a worthy adversary. Here's what to expect when they meet. According to the reports that we're getting, and I'm trying to find it here. According to some of the reports coming out of the mainstream, lamestream, fake news media, they're anticipating that when President Joe Biden agrees with President Vladimir Putin on at least one thing, the relationship between the two nations are currently at a very low point. Both said as much as in an interview leading up to tomorrow's meeting, Wednesday, it's going to be actually happening in Geneva. Of course, they're ahead of us by about 7 hours, which comes amid tensions over the myriad of issues, including a spat of cyber attacks emanating from within Russia, Doesn't mean it's the Russian government, but it has happened from Russia. Putin's military adventurism, along with his country's border with Ukraine and his imprisonment of opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who was poisoned twice and almost died, and he is still surviving the poisoning that was done to him by a Russian agent, and in which they used a nerve chemical. Very, very bad. Biden arrives at the summit fresh from enthusiastic meetings with the allies at NATO, as well as the European Union and the G7 summit, welcoming the return of the United States to conventional multilateral diplomacy. He aims to use this support to present a unified front to challenge Putin. At the same time, he acknowledges the difficulty in reversing Putin's policies, which seem impervious to a litany of U.S. economic sanctions and the expulsion of diplomats. Biden knows he faces a very formidable foe. Matter of fact, Biden is playing tiddlywinks while this ex-KGB agent, Vladimir Putin, is playing world-class chess. That's the way I see it. I'm going to make clear, Putin, that there, said Biden, I'm going to make it clear to Putin that there are areas where we can cooperate if he chooses. And if he chooses not to cooperate and acts in a way that he has in the past relative to cybersecurity and other activities, then we will respond, Biden said Monday at a Brussels news conference following a day of meetings with NATO allies. He described Putin as a very worthy adversary to whom he would delineate the red lines. Asked what his response would be if Navalny were to die in the Russian prison, Biden said it would be another indication that Russia has little or no intention of abiding by basic fundamental human rights. Russia is also holding several U.S. citizens in its prisons under what their supporters claim are trumped up charges. I think there's no way that you can criticize Putin. I'm not saying Putin's doing the right thing when it relates to Navalny, but there's no way, folks, you can criticize the Russians for the way they handle their political opposition. When the United States put convicted Michael Flynn before he could even barely get in as national security advisor, the way they indicted Roger Stone, and the way they convicted and threw in prison Paul Manafort, and the way they impeached President Trump twice for nothing, and have held several other political prisoners, including Julian Assange, there's no way we can point fingers at the Russians as long as the Democrats, who are in control of our government right now, continue to really use the same tactics of imprisoning or going after political rivals. And that's what we have seen from the Democrats. And so I have to be honest with you. I can't just sit here and read this article and make it sound like Vladimir Putin's the bad guy and that everything he does is wrong and everything we do is good. No, not when it comes to we do the same on the areas that we do the same thing. Now, I'm not saying that we do the same things as American Russians on everything, because that's not true. America is a great country with great people in it, and the Russians have great people in their nation. But right now, the regime that's in charge of America acts a whole lot like the accusations they throw at the Russians. So by no means do I say that Vladimir Putin is as pure as the wind-driven snow in December. But neither can I say that about the current administration and those that are running Congress. Can somebody give me an amen? Because I think I'm explaining that as objectively as you can explain it without going too strong one way or the other. Just looking at this objectively. And I'm reading an article here from Yahoo News, and I can see right here that It's not objective. It's just totally one-sided. I mean, how can we criticize them? Look, when we do the same thing, and both of them are wrong. The Russians are wrong by the way they handled Navalny. I've said that repeatedly. Poisoning this guy, trying to kill him off. The last guy that ran against Putin was murdered. He was assassinated right in front of the Kremlin. I've showed that video before. So what they're doing, what Putin does to hold power in Russia is wrong. But how can we criticize it when we're throwing people in prison every time we turn around that were connected to the last administration? So this is where we're at, okay? Let's keep an eye on all this, though, because what this means is the world is, and we're not the only two countries that have these issues. What do you think they do in China? What do you think? What do you think goes on in these African nations? What do you think goes on in these Islamic monarchies? What do you think goes on everywhere where there's a struggle for power? We're in the end time. This is why Jesus has to come back and set up what's called the millennial reign. Because in the millennial reign, he will rule the nations with a rod of iron. And a lot of people think that during the millennial reign, everything's just going to be perfect. But if you study the Bible, no. There will be many nations who will come to Jerusalem and worship the King, Jesus Christ, and keep the Feast of Tabernacles, it says. But as many nations who don't, he will cause not to reign on their nations. This is talking about Jesus now, during the millennial reign. So there's a whole lot more out there that's not even talked about, that's right in the Bible. Thank you. I'm glad you like my shirt. It was actually hanging up in my closet here in Indiana. I forgot all about it, and I found it this morning. So anyway, let's stay focused. Now, today I'm going to be live. I'll be coming back live with you at 12 noon. Our guest today, Pastor Mark Biltz. This is going to be, guys, get ready. Mark Biltz has put together a timeline called Let the Shemitah Begin. The Shemitah, we're going to have a beginning of a new Shemitah year this September. And his prophecies about what's coming is incredible as he has studied the blood moons. Again, there's 4 more blood moons. The first one we just had in May, and then we're going to have one this November, and then next May, and then next November. So we're in a 4 blood moon tetrad again, and it's during the beginning of the Shemitah. And here's the thing about it. Let me show you what has happened since the last Shemitah. This is on the back of his calendar. This is the Dead Sea in 2016, okay? Here's the same spot in the Dead Sea in 2017. Look how low the water went. Here's the same location in the Dead Sea in 2018. Here it is in 2019. Here's that rock that you can barely see here. And the water's way down here, 50 feet down. Here it is in 2020. That's the rock. Look how far it's gone down. And this is 2021, just taken. That's the rock that in 2016 was underwater. Here it is now. This far down is the water. They had to back the cameras way back to get the picture. The Dead Sea is drying up. The Euphrates River is drying up. We're entering into another Shemitah cycle, which could be what I'm calling possibly the final Shemitah. If that's true, then you're looking at the final 7 years. I don't know if that's true, but we're going to ask Mark Biltz that question. Could this be the final Shemitah? And look what's happening. You got a new prime minister. You got a new president. Biden is in. Trump is out. Bennett is in. Netanyahu is out. Going to talk to him about this. I'm going to throw one more nugget at you. The name Benjamin Netanyahu, the name means God has given his name, Benjamin, the 12th tribe of the 12 tribes of Israel. The name Benjamin means God has given. What did God do? With Benjamin Netanyahu, he has given Israel 12 years of prosperity and prophetic advancement. 12 years God has given, the greatest 12 years in Israeli history. Now the new prime minister's name is Bennett. Naphtali being the key word. Naphtali is one of the sons of the 12 tribes of Israel. And Naphtali means the struggle. His name means the struggle. So now what we can say is 12 years for the 12 tribes of Israel, God has given the blessings and the prophetic outlook, prophetic advancement. But now it's time for the era of the struggle. And this struggle could be Jacob's troubles. We're going to find out. We're going to talk to Mark Biltz about that, get some of his feedback on this maybe. But this is some of the revelation I'm getting. I want to thank Bible teacher Paul Franklin for giving me some insight on that. And actually, if you follow that a little further about that, and I went and run these names by Heidi. She looked them up in the Hebrew, of course, and she was giving me the information interpretation. She says exactly what it means. And then if you go to Zechariah chapter 12, the Bible tells you that the Lord said, I will cause Jerusalem to become a cup of trembling and a burdensome stone for all people. In other words, Jerusalem will now become the struggle. And we're entering into that time right now. All right. I'll be back to talk to you more about that. Today is, what is today, Brock? The 15th of July. Mark Biltz is going to join us. I'll be back at 12 noon with the coming apocalypse. So don't miss it. It's going to be powerful. Is this the final shemitah with Mark Biltz? Are you serious? Are you saved?